Chinese delivery.
Get off my lawn!
Chinese delivery.
I said, get off my lawn! Oh, my Chinese food. Hello, YouTube. If you haven't guessed already, today's video is going to be about shotguns. We're not going to go any further without a clarification, though. Those 2 warning shots in the air were in fact blank. I would be deemed mentally fit for trial, so there's no way in hell I'm risking that for YouTube. There are way cooler felonies to commit. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see me beat myself up in some more videos. Technically, this video is actually my first sponsor. I do want to give a shout out to the guys. Kind of a little nervous to give location here, you know who you are. But thank you so much for giving me some shotgun rounds to shoot through this video. I'm excited that you were excited to find out what we were doing for this one. Don't forget to give some love to your local gun stores. I know people like ordering ammo in bulk online, ordering firearms online, and just send them to their FFL. But there are some really good ones out there, so thank you guys. All right, so disclaimer, I do absolutely hate shotguns with a fiery passion, so this might be a little bit biased of a review. Sometimes we must suffer for science, so I just want you guys to know that all of my pain was for the sake of you guys hopefully learning something, getting a different perspective. We can figure out why shotguns for home defense may or may not be the best idea. And real quick, as a little baseline, this is my shoulder before shotguns. So for shooting today, I did bring out a variety of different shotgun shells, different shotguns for the sake of being able to run them. Got birdshot, slugs, buckshot. But for the topic of home defense, birdshot's probably not going to be what you want to use unless a group of birds is invading your home, which, considering the number of furries nowadays, might be the case.
This is a big bird who wants to see the rest of mommy.
But yeah, for home defense, probably going to want to take buckshot. It's definitely gonna do what you're hoping for. The problem with shotguns for home defense, especially in America, which most of you are, yeah, I can punch a hole through the wall, which means anything that misses your target is going to go straight through and pepper what's behind it, which obviously not safe for a lot of different reasons. But in order to understand what you want to use in which circumstances and why certain shells might be more effective at different times, we're gonna have to decipher all of these terrible numbers on the box. The numbers, Mason, what do they mean?
The numbers, Mason, what do they mean?
I am so sorry in advance for all of this dry information, but I promise you, at the end of this long, terrible spiel, there will be a fun little montage, fun little shots to make it worth it. So, let's start. Shotgun shells can be broken down into 5 basic components. The one we're gonna start with here is gauge size. So you can see here that I have 12 gauge in my hand, which it's gonna refer to the bore diameter. Somehow this 12 refers to the idea that if you were to take 1 pound of lead, you could break this up into 12 equal-sized balls that would fit in that bore diameter. This is why people give the British shit, because they come up with useless metrics that no one understands. Really easy way is that the bigger the number, the smaller the bore diameter of your shell, your rifle are going to be. So the idea of the bigger number, meaning the smaller size, might not inherently make sense. If any of you guys have like stretched ears or work with wire, you're probably much more familiar with that, right? So an 18 gauge wire or ear piercing is gonna be significantly smaller than that 0 gauge. Maybe helps you guys if that's an easier way to think about it. So the next important, probably one of the more important numbers in understanding shotguns is going to be your buck size here. You can see what I have in my hand is going to be a double-aught buck, which probably doesn't mean much of anything if you're not familiar with shotguns like any of these other numbers, but buck is going to refer to the size of the actual pellets in the round. Just gonna point out though that buck and shot are different. So double-aught buck is going to be actually like a 0.33 inch round. You can see on the side here, they do actually show the actual sizes of the different rounds just for an idea of what those pellets are going to look like. So yeah, if you have a 0 buck or a double-aught buck round, those balls that are hitting the target are kind of huge. That's definitely gonna hurt. And much like gauge, the smaller the number, the bigger the size, if that's at least somewhat consistent. Probably the easiest number to understand on these boxes is gonna be the little inch size here. Too bad if you know metric inches, that's what we use. That's just basically gonna be the length of the round. Easy, 2 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 or 3 inches, sorry. That one's straightforward. And then the next number to try and describe here, fortunately the box in my hand does show feet per second, muzzle velocity. That's a number we understand. Maybe if you grab an older box or a different manufacturer though, you're gonna be stuck with dram equivalent. And you're probably gonna be scratching your head wondering what the hell that means. Muzzle velocity and dram equivalent are trying to describe the same thing. That's gonna be the energy output of your round as it's coming out of the barrel. I hope muzzle velocity is something you guys are familiar with and that one doesn't need to be explained. But dram equivalent, if you do see it, essentially 1 dram is the equivalent of the amount of black powder that's needed to equal the same output that modern smokeless propellant is going to provide. It's a useless, outdated metric. I think 1 dram's like, I don't know, 20, 30 grains of black powder, maybe. I can put that in the comments here. But yeah, bigger dram number, bigger bang for your buck. And last but not least, this is hopefully another easy one, but we do have the maximum number of pellets in this instance. Maximum buckshot, 9 pellets. That means you are going to be shooting 9 lead balls, usually lead. 9 lead balls of the double-aught diameter every time you fire a round. Cue fun montage. Told you guys it would be worth it. Thank you for sticking through, or if you were smart enough to skip past it, I do not blame you. Those numbers are terrible. But yeah, in the beginning, the round that I shot through that door was going to be this box right here, which like I said, was the 12 gauge, 9 pellets of buckshot, double-aught buck going 3,225 feet per second. And you could see the damage that that did to the door, and this is by no means the strongest buckshot you can get. So yeah, it's absolutely gonna go through. I hope you do not need anything that was behind that newly acquired hole in your home. And you know, I guess you're right, Joe. You don't need 30 rounds of ammo for self-defense when you can just shoot 2 rounds of this that are essentially 9 rounds each trigger pull of 32 ACP going into your target all at once. Way faster than I can pull 30 rounds off of my AR. This other box of ammo that I have here that I'm shooting throughout this video, some of these shooting clips. So this is 41 pellets. It is a 3-inch long round. You can see 4 blocks, so even though there are 41 pellets, they are smaller. Big problems with shotguns that we like to ignore is that they hurt, especially if you're me. And to the bigger guys watching this, yeah, you can probably shoot shotguns, no problem, but you're lying if you say that they're easier to manage the recoil on than a rifle. Like someone my size trying to shoot this in a panic is absolutely going to be a nightmare. So yeah, shotguns are absolutely an effective round. I am not saying that they're bad, but when you consider things like that, they're actually kind of scary to use. Someone like me, or someone even worse who doesn't shoot often, trying to use these in a time of panic is absolutely going to do unintended damage to their home, people around them, hopefully not anything important in those times. Can you leave it? Leave it. You don't know who that is. There is a good reason so many gun fail videos on YouTube here are of women shooting shotguns. And honestly, I've seen a lot with men shooting shotguns. They're not manageable. You add in the panic of a home defense situation when you're not going to be able to properly prepare yourself for those rounds, or you're going to be rushing through the motions and everything else. It's going to become that much worse. I shoot often, and I have to actively prepare myself for the impact that these rounds are going to take. And you can still see by my face in this video that I'm miserable. I am. They're terrible to shoot. And for the record, this is my shoulder after shotguns. One of the good things about shotguns that people try to say is that you don't have to worry about aiming as much, which yes and no. Because they do have the spread, you're obviously more likely to hit whatever you're trying to hit. But yeah, in the same hand, that spread, if I shoot here and half of the pellets go behind the shoulder, that person's probably not gonna have a shoulder, but the wall behind them is also gonna have some extra decorations, which, good or bad, chances are of you hitting exactly where you wanna hit in a time of need definitely lessen. So at that point, I don't consider shotguns worth the risk, and I would be much more comfortable protecting myself when I don't have to worry about all of these extra steps for safely using whatever it is that I'm trying to use. So after having shot these, I feel like I would probably pick the Federal Power Shock in a home defense situation out of the three in the group here. I do think this one provided probably the best middle ground. It was manageable for me to shoot. The pellets are a pretty decent size, and you can see that the grouping is actually pretty decent. So I think, at least in terms of doing damage, it's gonna be pretty effective. It was reliable, manageable for me to shoot. It's definitely the best middle ground in terms of damage and controllability. The Remington Magnum Buck here, it's definitely gonna pack a punch. I did feel it though, so if you're not comfortable with shotguns, if you don't have experience, probably not the best idea to use in a home defense scenario. I would definitely take myself out after having to shoot this one too. And then the last one here that we have was the Federal Premium. So it is 41 pellets, and you can see that it has a much wider spread. They're smaller. You're not gonna hit as much impact in one area, but if maybe hitting your target is a concern, you do have a higher chance of hitting something vital at that point. But obviously the spread's bigger, so you're gonna hit a lot more than just the target too. Because they are smaller, the force on target per pellet is gonna be lessened. So I really don't think that this is gonna give you the most of what you want out of a home defense scenario. But again, everyone has different needs, so probably not a bad one, just wouldn't be my choice in that instance. Just like everything else, shotguns do have a time and place. Certainly for hunting, there's a reason there's birdshot, and it's gonna be way more effective to hunt for birds with something that does have that kind of spread. Modern warfare, shotguns are fantastic for drones because you have a higher chance of hitting those aerial targets. And plenty of people certainly enjoy shooting skeet, clay. But in the topic of home defense, it's at least not what I would recommend using. That's really all that I did have for you guys for this video. I wanted to make it a focus on the conversation of shotguns for self-defense, less of a conversation of maybe the difference between each of these rounds, topic of the different guns and, you know, semi-auto shotguns, pump shotguns, all of those things. But if you guys are interested, I can certainly do another video on a topic like that. But otherwise, Hopefully you were able to learn something. Hopefully my suffering was worth it. And see you guys on the next video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe if you want to see more me's. Me's. I said me's, not me's bark.